All right, for our first section of the course, we're going to be talking about setting goals. That's what this section is about. And then the follow-up section that we're going to do is mindset and mentality. And in some ways, this is more important, these sections right here, than the specifics that are going to come later on when we discuss things like budgets and investments and things like that. Because those are details. But without the right mindset and without the right goals, the rest of this, those things aren't really going to help you as much. So before we get into the goals, let's first talk about money for a moment. I'd like to point out that there is, as you guys have heard, before, that sometimes money and rich people are looked at as something that's bad. Money is evil. Rich people get to where they are because they did bad things, or they screwed people over, or they suppressed or hurt people once they have that money, or things like that. And I want to point out to you that money is not evil. People are evil. If you make a lot of money, it doesn't mean you did that by doing those things I was talking about. You didn't have to screw somebody over in order to get that money. Many wealthy people are rich because they found something that people needed, and they worked really hard to meet that need, to get to the point where they can scale that up to a lot of different people and get that out to them. So not only that, but a lot of folks who, once they get to a point where they do have enough, or they have more than what they need, they turn around and they start contributing to things like charities and philanthropy. A lot of those kind of things like charities and philanthropies are actually driven by wealthy people making donations. So can rich people be buttheads? Absolutely, yes, they can. But just because they're rich doesn't mean that they are buttheads. Okay. Ultimately, though, this course is not about getting rich quick. That's a different course that I might actually do later on if you guys are interested. But this is about being responsible. It's about being held accountable for the purchases that you make and the lifestyle that you decide to live. And yes, if you do all the things that I'm talking about, in the long run, you could actually have quite a bit of money that's left over. But it's not in a very short period of time. It's more of a long-term thing. So what's our goal? Our goal is to be financially responsible and to have enough money to live the life that in the way that we want to live it. So to really understand our goal, let's ask some basic questions. Why do we pursue wealth, and how do we define what that wealth is? And the way I define wealth, and other people as well, is the pursuit of wealth is the pursuit of freedom. And what I mean by freedom is freedom from things and freedom of things. Freedom from fear, freedom from stress, and a freedom of time. And obviously, when we're talking about like the fears and stress and things like that, you can't eliminate those entirely with money, but they can be limited by having money. And I'll talk to you about some specific fears that can be eliminated by having enough money. For example, a lot of people have a fear of, at some point in their career, losing their job. Because what happens when you lose your job? What happens when you don't have enough money coming in because you lost your income? You can't afford the basics. You can't afford food, maybe the roof over your head, and things like that, necessities. And so people have a fear of losing a job. Well, if you have enough money set aside or invested or whatever it is, or you have passive income coming in from some outside source, then that fear tends to lessen or even go away if you have enough money. Because if you lose your job, who cares? You got enough money to be able to take care of yourself still. You still have enough money for those necessities. Another fear that people have is a fear maybe of they get all the way to retirement, but then they set aside a certain amount of money, but it's not enough. So maybe 10 years into retirement, they suddenly get called back to work because they ran out of cash. And that's a bummer, because let's imagine you retired at age 70 and now at age 80 you gotta get your wrinkly butt back to work. That's terrible, right? You don't want to do that. So money is a freedom from those fears. Money is also a freedom from stress. And again, not all stress, and it doesn't completely eliminate your stress, but it does definitely help. Because money, as you'll find out as you become adults, can be one of the biggest stressors in life. One of the top contributors to divorce, actually. A lot of people, relationships break up over problems that have to do with money. Maybe not enough money, or maybe not seeing eye to eye on how that money should be spent. And so that's a really common concern. Married or not, that's a very typical one. So if you had enough money where you didn't have to be concerned about the purchases that you were making, It allows for greater enjoyment of other things in life because you're not having that in the back of your mind while you're trying to do the fun things that you're trying to do. So again, I stress again, I'm not trying to say money is going to eliminate fear and stress and any of that. It does help it though, it does lessen it. But ultimately, those freedom from fears, those are all great things. But ultimately, the pursuit of wealth is the pursuit of the freedom of time. And what I mean by that is you, with enough time, you're free to do what you want with your time, unencumbered by obligations and the need to go pursue necessities. Time is very precious. You only have so much. Even though you're young now, this might seem crazy to you to even think about, but at some point, you guys are going to pass away. You're going to die. And as young as you are right now, it could be, 80 years from now that you die. It could be 60. It could be a long, long time before you actually pass away. But you do have a finite amount of time. You can't add one more day to whatever life you're supposed to live. And so because of that, money allows you, in that time span that you have, allows you, if you have enough of it, to do more of what you want with that time. You have essentially more of that time is free time, is your time. And so the ability to go pursue your passions, your happiness, your relationships, go where you want to go, do what you want to do, and please yourself in the ways that you desire. Money allows you to do more of that than if you just constantly have to work. If all you do is work up until the point where you croak, well then you've wasted your time, or maybe it feels like you've wasted your time. So no, again, money isn't the answer to all of your problems, and it can't make you a happy person, but it can make life so much easier in the long run.